This is Elias Ramirez. I'm a BJJ black belt. Been training Jiu-Jitsu for 17 years. Just wanted to give some ideas and just wanted to say to begin, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, do me a favor also and liking these videos. I'm just trying to start something. Just want to talk about ideas and opinions about the Jiu-Jitsu world and things that involve Jiu-Jitsu, and kind of go over different subjects. I want to start off by just doing as many videos as I can, and just hopefully you guys enjoy the videos, and you guys will like and subscribe and share with anybody you know, share friends, family, that kind of stuff. The first video that I wanted to make about is a phrase that we use in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is blue being the new black belt. And I'll explain a little bit and give you context on what that means. It's just saying that, you know, a lot of times when people, a joke that we have in the Jiu-Jitsu community is a lot of times when people get the blue belt, some people also refer to it as the blue belt blues. And it's when somebody gets a blue belt, it's like an accomplishment. It's something that they feel like, okay, I've trained, I accomplished what I wanted to, and I'm going to stop and go do something else, or whatever it is that they do, but they don't continue with Jiu-Jitsu all the way to the black belt. So it's like a joke like, hey, blue's the new black. But I wanted to give some ideas and some reasoning why I believe this happens. Why I believe people, when they get to the blue belt, they stop training Jiu-Jitsu. I don't want to say quit, because I don't think everybody quits. I think a lot of times what happens is or in most cases, maybe not most cases, but at least 50% of the cases, people start training, and then after they stop at blue belt, they'll come back. It could be in their older years, in some cases right away, but it's still something that I feel like is really common in the Jiu-Jitsu community when you get to the blue belt. The first thing that I believe, and again, these are just my opinions. These are the way that I think about this and what I believe to be the biggest reasons. I'd be curious to know what you guys think about what you think the reason is people quit. I know there's probably going to be other black belts, and even if you're not a black belt, if you're a purple belt, a brown belt, even a blue belt, your insight would be pretty cool too, because you are kind of what this video is about. Just in the comments, if you guys had some opinions or different things like that, be curious to know what you guys think. So for me, I think I'll just get right into it. The thing that I think is the biggest reason why people stop at blue belt is because of the 1-year commitment. What do I mean 1-year commitment? A lot of times when you sign up at a Jiu-Jitsu school, you sign a 1-year contract, a 1-year agreement, or however it's worded, but it usually means that you're going to train at that school for 1 year. You're going to agree to come and pay them for 1 year. They're going to agree to give you the best Jiu-Jitsu that they can for that 1 year. The big thing about that is when you start training, initially, especially in the beginning, you're super excited. You're coming in most cases as often as you can, sometimes 4, 5, 6 days a week, and then life happens and you start to hit a little bit of a wall. And when I say a wall, I mean more just like responsibilities, like things start to come into your life, or maybe things that were already in your life that you put off a little bit and put on the back burner because you found this thing that you love so much in Jiu-Jitsu and started training all the time. And then you decided like, okay, well now it's going to be, now I have to compromise and put some energy into everything I do. So it drops to like 2 or 3 days a week. And in some instances, even less than that. And when I say less than that, it could even be like maybe once a week, or sometimes once or twice every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, and in worst case scenario, every month. And then that's when the challenge starts, because I think in that case you start to think to yourself, hey, I'm paying for these classes, I'm training and I'm paying for these classes, but I can't come as often as I was in the beginning. So, which is when you initially signed the agreement to pay the amount that you wanted to pay per month. And now I'm like, well, how do I justify continuing to pay what I was paying in the beginning when I was training all the time, compared to paying that same amount now when I only train maybe once or twice a month, right? And I think that's a hard thing to justify. So what ends up happening is you hang out and you say, well, you know what, I made a commitment for a year. I'm going to stick with it for a year. And in that year, with most academies, there's some exceptions. Of course, that's going to be, at least as far as the IBJJF guidelines, which is the organization that usually governs most of the largest tournaments in the world, like the Worlds, the Pan Americans, the Brasileiros, as well as the European championship. So you think to yourself, well, I'm gonna stick it out for a year. I'm gonna do my year. I committed to it, so I'm gonna stick with it. And you train for that 1 year, and then after that 1 year, you're like, okay, well, I'm only being able to train once or twice a week, so I'm gonna hold off on continuing. I got my blue belt, which is cool. Now I no longer have to tell people, of course, the dreaded question whenever you let someone know, like, hey, what do you train? What martial art do you train? And you say, oh, I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And in return, they say, what belt are you? I know when I was a white belt, I couldn't wait to be able to say blue belt. And it continued from there. When I was a blue belt, couldn't wait to say purple, brown, black. And it's something that you want to be able to say, like, if you put your time in, that you were able to at least have an achievement while you were in jiu-jitsu rather than leaving at white belt. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons out of the two that I'm going to talk about today. It's just that, people, when they come in, they just can't come as often as they want. And I wanted to say to you, like, it's the thought process shouldn't be thought of as like how often I should come, or if I was coming a certain amount in the beginning and now I'm coming less, that you should gauge what you're paying based off of how often you come. Think of all the other benefits that jiu-jitsu gives you in your life, and as far as like health and just way of living, as well as I think friends. We build strong bonds and friendships when we train jiu-jitsu. We're constantly trying to choke each other and afterwards smile and say, how are you doing afterwards? And a lot of times go out to eat and hang out with each other outside of the academy. So I think, if you can go beyond the aspect of the cost and really just focus more on the journey, the things that it's going to give you, or that it has given you in that 1 year, and whether or not those are things you want to continue in your life, or if you're okay letting those things go. Because in some cases, the answer might be you're ready to let the things go that jiu-jitsu gives you as far as benefits, in exchange for saving the money that you pay, right? But for me, it was the money was so secondary. It wasn't even like a second thought. The number one priority, or the coolest thing about jiu-jitsu, was the relationships I built in there. So the next thing I want to talk about is, I think ego and pride is the next thing that keeps people from continuing after blue belt. And I'll explain a little bit what I mean. So a lot of times when we first start, like we were talking about in the first thought process, is when you come a lot, your jiu-jitsu is going to grow really quickly, right? I don't mean you're going to be black belt level, but you're going to, as far as a white belt, if you come 4, 5, 6 days a week, your jiu-jitsu is going to grow. It's not magic. It's something that if you put the time in, you're going to get better. And I think when you do that and you stop coming as often as you were able to because of, for whatever, like we talked about before, whatever is coming up in your life, relationships, or whatever it is that keeps you away as often as you'd like to come, then I think what starts to happen is you start to, like anything that you do, when you don't do it all the time, you're going to be a little rusty at it. And what I mean rusty, in jiu-jitsu, it makes you pay a little bit more because rusty equates to being sore. And when you're sore, and you're going to be sore, like when in your 4th or 5th month when you've been training and you come in and you know that, hey, I only trained once this week, or I only trained once last week, and I haven't yet trained this week, and it's already towards the end of the week. I know that when I go in there today, I'm going to get super sore the day after, and it's going to be a tough, not only feeling physically after training, but during training, you're going to feel a little heavier. You're going to feel a little bit off your game, because, it's like anything. If you don't do it all the time, you can tend to miss some steps, right? So you have to, I feel like that's ego and pride talking, as far as not coming in when you know you're going to get sore. Like, just think of anything you do, like if you move tomorrow and you lift some things from your house, you're going to get sore the next day. Do you not move because you may get sore when you move? Or do you not move because you may get sore the next day, right? If you go on a hike over the weekend and you know that you have to, it's going to make you sore the following day, do you tell your friends you're not going to go on a hike? I think it's like anything, like when you do it and you don't do it often, or you can't get in as often as you want, you're going to be sore. But that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu. It's almost like jiu-jitsu lets you know that you're doing something physical, and try to think about the other things that you benefit from as far as coming in, right? Like, think about your health. Think about how well jiu-jitsu, even if you're coming in 1 or 2 days a week, how well it helps you when it's time to eat, right? So like for me, even if I'm not training as hard as I would like to train every day, I still try to watch what I eat. And I don't always win that battle within myself as far as watching what I eat, but for the most part, it helps me, maintain some semblance of physical shape in an everyday life. It allows me to be able to pick up my children a little easier. It allows me to walk up and down my stairs at home a little easier because I still train jiu-jitsu. And think about another thing. It never gets easier. If the longer you stay away from jiu-jitsu, a lot of times I've heard people say in the past, like, oh, I took some time off because I wanted to recover from my injuries. I wanted to just let my body rest, and I wanted to, or I hit a wall, and it was getting tough for me. I was plateauing, and that never changes. It never gets easier. So if you tell yourself that the reason that you're stopping is because you want to help your body heal, the best healing power for jiu-jitsu is to train jiu-jitsu. If you've trained, anybody who's trained long enough, you guys know that there's nothing you can do that can simulate what you do in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the gym, hiking, anything that you do, even different martial arts. And the best way to simulate Jiu-Jitsu, or to get your body continually used to training, is just train. So it never gets easier, and the best thing is to not stop coming. I know it's easy. When you're at home, you get home from an 8, 10, 9, 10 hour work day, and you sit down on the sofa, you eat, your meal after work. And it's easy when you sit down to say, you know what, there's a show that I've been wanting to catch. There's something that I haven't seen in a while, or just even, your kids wrap around you, your wife asks you to do something at home. It's simple to just change what it was that you were going to do. I would say the best advice that I would give anyone who trains jiu-jitsu, or who's a white belt in jiu-jitsu, or even any belt really, but definitely white belt, is when you start training and you have a plan each day. We all wake up with a plan each day, whether that plan is simple, which is just, hey, I'm going to get up, put my clothes on, I'm going to go to work, and when I come home from work, I have nothing else planned. That could be a plan, right? But if your plan is to come train, keep that plan. Even if you sit on that sofa, even if you have that meal, even if you have that significant other, or your kids that need some of your time, try to balance those things continue with your commitment to come to jiu-jitsu. Because even if in the first 3, 4, 6 months you feel to yourself like, man, this is tough, I promise it gets easier, but also it's gonna benefit you. There's no way that I haven't met anyone yet. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I'm not saying people don't talk about it behind closed doors. But I've been involved with jiu-jitsu for 17 years, and I've helped get over thousands of people get involved with Brazilian jiu-jitsu since I've been working with academies. I myself am at Gracie Barra Palm Desert, and this is my 9th Gracie Barra that I've opened up, not only helped open up around Southern California, but also a few openings in Hawaii as well. And I have yet to have anyone come up to me and say jiu-jitsu ruined their life, or jiu-jitsu was something that wasn't positive for them. Jiu-jitsu was something that they wished they would have never done, right? And in fact, I've had tons of people. I couldn't tell you how many of people who I've helped become a part of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu who have reached out to me and still reach out to me and say they're glad that I got them involved with Jiu-Jitsu. Even as far as to say, I'm glad you committed me for 1 year, so that way I didn't give myself an out to be able to stop training within that year. So I kept going after the year. So I think it's important to keep coming. If you don't keep coming, then you're only gonna take away a benefit from yourself. Along with the obvious aspect, which is just being able to keep some semblance of shape, but also just self-defense. Like when I first got involved with jiu-jitsu, my thought was to get involved with it because I thought, man, this is a really amazing martial art, and I should probably learn this so I can defend myself or my loved one when we're out and about. And that was my original, and still to this day, reason why I train jiu-jitsu. So if your reason is for that, if it's just self-defense, stay involved just to make sure that, if you have, our world is crazy right now. So many things going on right now in this country, in this state, that it would be probably a good idea for you to stay sharp as far as physically speaking, learning a self-defense and whatever else you may have to your benefit. Like, hopefully prayer is something that you keep in mind, as well as, anything that you can do to really help prepare or keep yourself prepared in a situation that you need to defend yourself is a plus. So I think if for no other reason, if it's self-defense, keep coming. If it's confidence, being able to have camaraderie and friendship and brothership, fellowship, all of those things. It's an amazing thing to be involved with. And remember those two ideas, or those two opinions that I have, which is one, the 1 year agreement. I know the 1 year agreement, when you go to your local school, it might sound like something like that's just unheard of for you. And it might sound like something that you think to yourself, man, can I really commit to that? Trust me, you won't regret it. Again, just to reiterate, I've yet to have anybody say to me that they regretted that. I'm not saying that they haven't. I'm not saying someone hasn't. But two, I think, is ego and pride. Ego can be our best friend, but it can also be our worst enemy. If you can't check your ego whenever you come in to train, and know that when you come in, you're bettering yourself, whether you believe or you feel like you got the best of that day's training or not, and even the days after when your body's a little sore, doesn't matter. It's good for you. It absolutely is good for you to work out and to do something physical that helps keep your body in shape, or keeps you mentally tough, and just something that's going to help you in the future, if for no other reason, just to stay in shape. I think that's pretty much it. Those are the two things I want to cover. I don't want to take too much of your time. Put some more videos out. I definitely try to put one out at least 2 to 3 a week, and I'm going to try to see. I have different subjects that I want to cover, and if you have some ideas or topics that you'd like me to talk about, or even anything's open, really. Anything that's about self-defense. Doesn't have to be about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but that's what I love to do, and it's what I love to talk about. But it can be anything that's going on in the world. I'd love to hear your opinion, and I'm gonna try to talk about everything. So hope to hear from you soon. Thanks again. Remember, don't forget to subscribe, like, and I'll see you on the next video.